Hey guys, welcome back to Liquid Art. I hope you're all staying safe and well. Today I thought we'd do a poppy painting. So obviously with this year going on, everything with Remembrance is going to be different. So I thought these would just look really nice in windows and I thought I'd show you guys how to do so. So here's everything you're going to need today. Also, I've put a link below if you can donate to the Poppy Foundation. That'd be brilliant. I've put everything down below. So you're going to need a canvas board or a bit of paper, a rubber, a pencil, 2 paintbrushes, some kitchen towel and some water. So kind of the same as normal. We've then got a palette. I've got the colours black, white, red, yellow and blue. They're kind of the main ones you're going to need. You could of course do a purple poppy if you want to. That's for the animals that obviously were lost in the war. But yeah, you guys can do whichever ones you want for this. I am going to do a red one and I wanted it to look quite solemn, so that's why I've gone for this one. So for your first step, you're going to take your pencil and we are going to draw out our poppy. So here's kind of the design that you're going to need to do. So we're going to start in the middle by creating this kind of circle shape and one inside it as well. We're then going to start adding some of our petals to this. Now the petals are going to be quite rigid, they're not going to be a smooth shape or anything. So we're just going to start by coming away from the center of this flower and just pulling these petals round. So we're going to start with one and then we're going to kind of mirror that on the other side and then create ones coming off that as well. So with these pencil marks, you just want to keep them nice and light. You can of course use your rubber to get rid of any ones if they've gone a little bit wrong, but just make sure they're nice and light so they don't take forever to rub off of our canvas. And when we paint, we're going to paint this a lot lighter than we normally would, a little bit runnier. So you don't want really dark lines, as what it will do, it will soak up that lead and it will create any colour you use darker. So now we're adding a bit more of a poppy around here. So this petal is just going to be a bit bigger than normal. So again, we're just following these petals around our poppy. Just adding another one right in around here. You can of course change the shape of these if you want to. You could have more petals if you wanted or less. It's entirely up to you guys. But these are the ones I'm going to stick with for now. And then once you've done the flower, you're going to do the stem. So this is just a curved 2 lines linking to the bottom of it. So once you guys have done that, we're going to paint the background. You can paint this with a different colour if you want to. I'm going to paint this white. So it seems a little bit silly painting it onto a white canvas board, but the colour will really change. So I'm just using my medium paintbrush, going right to the edges of our drawing, and I'm just filling this in. So when you guys are ready, wash that medium paintbrush for me, put it to the side and take your smaller paintbrush this time. Now what I want you to do is take some white and some red and mix it together to make a light red. Not so much a pink, you're not aiming for pink with this, we're aiming for a lighter red. And we're going to fill in a few of these petals. We're going to paint right up to the edges of our pencil mark. Try not to cover them up so much that you don't know where you're painting. But you're just going to fill in these bits, and then we're going to work on with some other colours in a second. So we're going to work with more vibrant reds, some darker reds, just to build up and really show the depth of this poppy. So just follow around for now, and then we'll change to another colour in a second. So now guys, we should be at about this stage, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a bit more of a red this time. So I'm just taking a little bit more red paint and mixing it into the lighter colour that we already mixed, just to make it slightly more vibrant, and we're going to paint the inside of these petals. So the bits that's part of the centre of our poppy, that's the bits you want to create a little bit darker. This is just going to give it that 3D effect and make it look like it's curving round. So I'm just painting inside a few of these. And on this darker one back here, I'm just going to paint this as the starting colour. So this petal is just going to be darker all over. Same with this one. The petals that are more towards the edge of our poppy, they're always going to start a little bit darker, so you're just filling this in. So this one's going to meet the centre of our poppy as well. So bring this right around the edges and we'll make it darker later on. And I'm just trying not to cover up that light colour that we put on earlier so much. So now we've done that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a bit of a black this time. So I've just washed my paintbrush just to get the red off a little bit. A little black here, and we're just going to mark out the centre of our poppy. So we're just dotting around this area here. And I'm now mixing in a bit of a red. So now we've got a darker red with our red and black, and we're just going to work away from the centre. So we're just pushing it into our petals just slightly, and we're going to use this as a bit of a shadow around our petals as well. So I'm just pushing it into that paint that's already on our canvas. So this might blend a little bit, which is perfect. You don't want it to be too much of a contrast. And then we're going to go round these bits here. And you can see where the lightness from the above petal and the darkness of this one below that we're just adding now, you can really see how it really creates that bit of depth and showing you that they're two different levels. So So we're just doing the same around here. So don't worry too much if this isn't getting the right tone that you want it to. I'm actually going to dry this in a few minutes, and then once it's dry, I'm going to paint over it again. So it's got kind of 2 layers of paint on top. So what I'm doing here, I've taken my other paintbrush, which is nice and clean, and I'm just blending it slightly. Don't worry if you haven't got that, you might not need to, it could be all blended already, but don't worry about it too much. I'm just using it just to make sure our colours match up a little bit better. So now I'm just going to give that paintbrush a really good wash and put it out of the way. And now I'm going to take my smaller paintbrush, and I'm just going to mix a green, so I've used some yellow and some blue, and all you're going to do is paint down the stem. So yellow and green makes blue. You can use different colours of this if you want to. You could have a black stem if you wanted to, if you don't have those colours, but you just want to paint this in really nice and neatly. So now here I'm just taking a bit more of my darker red again, and I'm just going over a few little bits here. So where I want the petals to be a bit darker, I'm just filling that in again. Around this petal too, just filling in that nice bit of shadow, just creating a little bit more depth. And then in the second we're going to add a little bit of a white colour. So if you can, you really want to work around where these petals are dividing to really put that stronger, darker colour along it, and it will show that it's more 3D. And now we're going to do the opposite of that by using the light colour. So we're kind of doing the exact same thing, but only with the light colour this time. So I've taken that lighter red that we used earlier, and I'm just going around a few bits of our petal here. And then going over the same with the darker. So you're just topping these up a little bit. So now this time we're going to go in with a much lighter red. So I've used quite a lot of pink this time. And we're just going to dab a few bits around here. So what you guys need to do now is we need this to dry a little bit so we can put a lighter colour on top. Now I have just dried this using my hairdryer. You guys can leave it if you want to, it won't take very long to dry. But if you can do, use a hairdryer over the top, it gives it a really quick dry, and now we can work in with some lighter colours without worrying that it will mix in too much with the wet colours already on our canvas. So I'm just taking that lighter colour that I made earlier. So it's a lot lighter this time, we're using a lot more white, and we're just dotting around the edge of these petals to really make them pop out. So we're not going all the way around the petal, we're just going around a few different bits of it. So whilst we're using some white, what we're going to do is we're going to do a few little dots in the centre of our poppy as well. So you can use a bit more of a grey if you want. I'm just going straight in with some white on top of our black. And I'm just jotting 2 kind of circles around here. And it's just going to create our inner poppy. So we're going to put a little bit of green on later, but for now I'm just doing kind of 2 little circles of dots around the centre. So this lighter colour has really brought out how the depth is in this petal, which works really well. So it's bringing that poppy a little bit more to life. Adding a few red bits as well, just to blend that out. So you might find you might want a bit of a cleaner brush. Just use that just to blend the 2 colours together. And just play about with this, guys. You can just figure out whether you want certain bits to be lighter or darker, and just have a little bit of fun with this. Just the key thing to note is that you want it darker towards the centre of our poppy or going into the shadows of our petals. You want that darker, and then towards the edge you want it lighter. So now I'm adding a bit more of the red rather than the lighter colour. I'm going to work back through our darker colours. So a little bit more of a red this time. And then we're going to go in with a darker red in the second and build that back up. So now here in the centre of our poppy, I'm just taking a little bit of the green that we used for our stalk, just to go in the centre of our poppy here, just a tiny little bit. You might want to add some white to it as well if you are finding that the black is just too dark. If you use a tiny bit of white, it will help you cover that up. So now I'm going back in with a darker red, so a little bit of black and red mixed together. And we're just going to do a few bits more around these shadows towards the centre of our poppy. just building up around these bits here, really giving these little our petals, just really giving them a little bit of texture and making them look a little bit more 3D. So now you might want to go back over your background just to make sure you cover up any little bits. You might want to do that, and you might want to go back over your stem. But other than that, we are done. So I'm sorry that this wasn't more of a tutorial, but it's just kind of the same few steps over the top. So I really hope you guys do this, and just remember to donate and pop it in your window.